The champagne tasted like expensive lies, bubbling and bitter on Amara Jones's tongue as she stood at the edge of the Voss Group charity gala. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen tears above a sea of designer gowns and tailored tuxedos, casting fractured light across faces that cost more to maintain than most people earned in a year. She'd worn her best dress, a deep emerald silk that hugged her brown skin and made her feel almost worthy of being here. Almost. Then she saw him. Derek Mills stood across the ballroom, his arm wrapped possessively around a woman whose laugh carried too loud, whose smile was too familiar. Jasmine, her former best friend. The woman who'd cried on Amara's shoulder about her own heartbreaks while secretly sleeping with Amara's boyfriend of 3 years. The champagne glass trembled in Amara's hand. 6 months. It had been 6 months since she'd walked in on them, since her entire world had shattered like cheap glass. 6 months of picking up pieces, of rebuilding herself, of telling herself she was over it. She wasn't over it. Derek's eyes found hers across the room, and something cruel flickered in his expression. He pulled Jasmine closer, kissed her temple with deliberate slowness, never breaking eye contact with Amara. The message was clear. Look what you lost. Look what I chose instead. Heat flooded Amara's face, humiliation mixing with rage in a toxic cocktail that made her vision blur. She needed to do something. Anything. She couldn't just stand here and let him win, let him see her broken. A man stood beside her at the bar, tall and unnervingly still. She'd noticed him earlier, impossible not to. He had the kind of presence that bent the room around him, made people unconsciously step back, lower their voices. Asian features, sharp and aristocratic. Dark hair styled with casual perfection. A black suit that probably cost more than her car. And eyes, cold, calculating eyes the color of steel in winter, that saw too much. Amara didn't think. Thinking would have stopped her. She turned to the stranger, her heart hammering so loud she was certain he could hear it. "Can you kiss me?" The words tumbled out in a desperate whisper. "I want to make him jealous." The man's expression didn't change. He simply turned those winter steel eyes on her, studying her face with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Up close, he was devastating, sharp jawline, full lips that looked cruel and soft simultaneously, and an aura of controlled danger that should have sent her running. "You'll regret that," he said, his voice low and accented, each word precisely measured. Before Amara could respond, before she could take it back, he moved. His hand came up to cup the back of her neck, fingers threading through her natural curls with surprising gentleness. Then he kissed her, and the world stopped. It wasn't the quick peck she'd expected. It was slow, deliberate, devastating. His lips moved against hers with a confidence that suggested he knew exactly what he was doing, exactly what effect he was having. Heat blooded through her body as his other hand settled on her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, and Amara forgot why she'd asked for it in the first place. Forgot Derek, forgot the gala. Forgot everything except the taste of expensive whiskey on the stranger's tongue, and the way her body seemed to melt against his much larger frame. When he finally pulled back, his expression remained unreadable, but his eyes held something dark and knowing. The entire ballroom had gone silent, every face turned toward them. Cameras flashed like lightning. Amara's breath came in short gasps. "I thank you, I—" "Don't thank me yet." He released her and straightened his cuffs with mechanical precision. "You have no idea what you just started." Then he walked away, the crowd parting for him like the Red Sea, leaving Amara standing alone with her racing heart and the weight of 100 staring eyes. Across the room, Derek's face had gone pale with shock. "Good," Amara thought viciously. "Let him feel what I felt." But as she turned to leave, she caught a fragment of conversation from two women nearby. "Was that Leon Seo?" "Oh my God, it was, the Leon Seo." "She has no idea what she just did. That man is dangerous. They say he—" The rest was lost as Amara pushed through the crowd, her mind spinning. Leon Seo. The name meant nothing to her, But something about the way people looked at her now, with pity and fear, made her stomach knot with unease. She'd wanted to make Derek jealous. She had a feeling she'd done something much, much worse. The next morning, Amara woke to her phone exploding with notifications. 53 missed calls, 216 text messages. Her social media accounts flooded with tags, mentions, and messages from people she hadn't spoken to in years. With trembling hands, she opened Twitter. The top trending topic, Leon Seo mystery woman. Her face was everywhere. The kiss, captured from a dozen angles, plastered across every gossip site and news outlet. Headlines screamed in bold type. Leon Seo spotted with mystery woman at VOSS gala. Who is the woman who tamed the Ice King? Billionaire CEO BREAKS, 5-year no dating streak. But it was one particular headline that made Amara's blood run cold. Leon Seo, the ruthless billionaire with blood on his hands. She clicked the article with numb fingers. Leon Seo, 32, CEO of the Voss Group conglomerate, is one of the world's youngest and most feared billionaires. Worth an estimated $47 billion, Seo inherited control of Voss Group at age 25 after the mysterious death of his father. Since then, he's expanded the empire with ruthless efficiency, crushing competitors and silencing critics. Multiple investigations into Voss Group's business practices have been shut down under suspicious circumstances. Former employees who spoke out have disappeared or died in accidents. Labor rights activist Amara Jones died 3 years ago while investigating unsafe conditions at a Voss manufacturing plant. His death ruled accidental despite evidence suggesting otherwise. Amara Jones. The article continued, but Amara couldn't read anymore. The phone slipped from her hands, clattering on her apartment floor. Amara Jones, her father. Her father, who died in a factory explosion 3 years ago while investigating worker safety violations. Her father, whose death had been ruled an accident despite his frantic calls to her in the weeks before, telling her he'd found something big, something that could bring down an entire corporation. Her father, who'd worked for the Voss Group. A sound escaped Amara's throat, half sob, half laugh. She'd kissed the man who killed her father. She'd pressed her body against his, tasted his lips, felt her heart race with attraction for the man responsible for the biggest tragedy of her life. The universe had a sick sense of humor. Her phone rang, unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Ms. Jones, that voice, low, controlled, unmistakable, Leon Seo. I assume you've seen the news. How did you get my number? Her voice came out stronger than she felt. I make it my business to know everything about people who interest me, and you, Amara Jones, daughter of Marcus Jones, have become very interesting. A pause. We need to talk. My driver will pick you up in an hour. I'm not going anywhere with you. You killed my father. Silence stretched across the line, heavy and dangerous. Is that what you think? His tone hadn't changed, but something underneath it had sharpened. Then you're more naive than I thought. If you want the truth about what happened to Marcus Jones, get in the car. If you'd rather believe convenient lies, stay home, your choice. He hung up. Amara sat there, her mind racing. Every logical instinct screamed at her to stay away, to call the police, to do anything except get in a car with a man who might be responsible for her father's death. But he'd said truth, and for 3 years she'd had nothing but questions. When the black Mercedes pulled up outside her building exactly an hour later, Amara got in. The driver said nothing, but Amara recognized him from the gala, one of the men who'd flanked Leon Seo like a shadow. The car was obscenely luxurious, all leather and tinted windows that turned the city outside into a dark blur. They didn't go to an office building as she expected. Instead, the car wound through increasingly exclusive neighborhoods until they reached a private estate that seemed to exist in its own world. Modern architecture of glass and steel nestled among ancient trees, a fortress disguised as art. Leon Seo waited at the entrance, dressed casually now in dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. Somehow, he looked more dangerous this way, less businessman, more predator. "You came," he sounded almost surprised. "You said you'd tell me the truth about my father." "I said I'd tell you the truth. Whether it's about your father remains to be seen." He gestured toward the house. "Come inside, we have a lot to discuss." The interior was exactly what she'd expected, and nothing like it simultaneously. Yes, there was wealth, art that belonged in museums, furniture that cost more than houses, technology that probably didn't exist on the civilian market yet. But there was also something lived in about it, personal touches that suggested an actual human being resided here rather than just a billionaire. Leon led her to a study lined with books, poured 2 glasses of something amber from a crystal decanter, and handed her one. She didn't drink it. "Your father worked for Voss Group," he began without preamble. "He was a quality control inspector at our Riverside manufacturing facility. Smart man, thorough, too thorough." "What does that mean?" "It means he found something he wasn't supposed to find. Evidence of defective products being shipped despite failing safety tests. Evidence of falsified reports. Evidence that, if made public, would have cost Voss Group billions in recalls and lawsuits." Leon's expression remained neutral, but his eyes watched her carefully. "Your father tried to report it through proper channels. When that didn't work, he started gathering proof to take to the authorities." Amara's hands clenched around the untouched glass. "And you killed him for it." "No," the word was flat, final. "I fired the executives responsible and shut down the entire operation. But someone didn't want the truth coming out. Someone with more to lose than I did. Your father died in an explosion meant for me. I was supposed to be touring that facility that day. At the last minute, my schedule changed." "You expect me to believe you're innocent?" "I expect you to be smart enough to ask why, if I wanted your father dead, I'd be stupid enough to leave a trail back to myself." Leon set down his own glass. "I've been investigating his death for 3 years, Ms. Jones. Whoever killed Marcus Jones is still out there, still covering their tracks, still operating within my company. And last night, when you kissed me in front of 500 people and a dozen cameras, you painted a target on your back." The room spun. Amara sat down hard in the nearest chair. "What?" "Whoever killed your father did it to protect secrets. Secrets I've been slowly uncovering. If they think you know something or that I've told you something, you're in danger." He moved closer, and she caught his scent, something expensive and clean with an edge of danger. "I'm offering you protection. Stay close to me. Play the role of my girlfriend convincingly enough that it looks like you're here for romance rather than revenge. And I'll keep you safe while we find who really killed Marcus Jones." "You want me to pretend to date you, the man everyone thinks killed my father?" "I want you alive. The rest is details." His eyes met hers, and for the first time she saw something beyond cold calculation, something that might have been genuine concern. "You kissed a stranger to make your ex-boyfriend jealous. Let's make it count for something." Amara's mind raced. This was insane. Everything about this was insane. But he was right about one thing. She'd spent 3 years with nothing but dead ends and official reports that explained nothing. If Leon Seo really had been investigating her father's death, if he really knew something. "1 month," she heard herself say. "I'll play your girlfriend for 1 month. In exchange, you share everything you know about my father's death, and you owe me one favor. Anything I ask." Something that might have been respect flickered in Leon's eyes. "Agreed." He extended his hand. Amara took it, and the moment their skin touched, she felt that same electric shock from the night before. Leon's fingers tightened almost imperceptibly, and she knew he felt it too. 1 month, he repeated, "starting now." He pulled her to her feet and kissed her again. And Amara realized with sinking dread that pretending to be attracted to Leon Seo wasn't going to require any acting at all. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of expensive restaurants, private jets, and photo opportunities staged to look candid. Leon Seo courted her like a man with unlimited resources and very specific goals, each date designed to be photographed, each gesture calibrated to suggest genuine romance while maintaining the kind of distance that suggested he was falling but fighting it. The public ate it up. Leon and Amara trended constantly. Think pieces analyzed their body language. Betting pools formed around when he'd propose. But behind closed doors, it was different. Leon's penthouse became her second home, ostensibly so they could coordinate their story, but actually so he could share what he'd uncovered about her father's death. Late nights found them in his home office, poring over documents and security footage, piecing together a conspiracy that went deeper than either had imagined. Look at this. Leon pulled up financial records on one of his many screens. It was past midnight and they'd been working for hours. His shirt was untucked, his hair mussed from running his hands through it, and Amara found herself noticing things she shouldn't. The strong line of his jaw, the way his eyes focused with laser precision, the flex of his forearms as he typed. She forced herself to concentrate on the screen. What am I looking at? Payments, large sums moving through shell companies connected to Voss Group but not approved by me. Someone's been skimming billions over the past decade. His finger traced a pattern on the screen. But it's not just theft. Some of these payments go to research facilities, medical research, specifically gene therapy and human enhancement. Amara's stomach turned. Human experimentation. Funded by my company without my knowledge or consent. Leon's voice had gone cold with fury. Your father found evidence of this. He found proof that defective products weren't the only thing Voss Group was hiding. We were funding illegal human trials that killed people. That's what he was going to expose. Who? Amara demanded. Who's behind this? Before Leon could answer, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his expression shuddered completely. I need to take this. He stepped out onto the balcony, and though Amara couldn't hear the words, she could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his free hand clenched into a fist. When he came back inside, he looked different, harder, more dangerous than she'd ever seen him. We have a problem, he said. My brother's in town. You have a brother? Minu, younger by 3 years, he runs the European operations of Voss Group. Leon's jaw tightened. We're not close. That turned out to be a massive understatement. Leon Seo arrived at the penthouse the next day like a storm rolling in, all charm and smiles that didn't reach his eyes. He was handsome in a way that was almost pretty, softer features than Leon's sharp angles, but there was something off about him. Something that made Amara's instincts scream danger. Brother, Minu embraced Leon with the kind of affection that looked genuine to anyone watching but felt like a threat. You didn't tell me you'd finally found someone worth your time, and so beautiful. His eyes raked over Amara in a way that made her skin crawl. Ms. Jones, I've heard so much about you. Have you? Leon's arm slid around Amara's waist, possessive and protective. That's interesting since I haven't mentioned her to you. The internet exists, Hyung. Your romance is the talk of 3 continents. Minu's smile widened. I just wanted to meet the woman who finally melted the Ice King's heart. I hope you know what you're getting into. I think I'm starting to, Amara said carefully. Minu stayed for dinner, an uncomfortable affair where he charmed and needled by turns, asking pointed questions about how they met, what Amara did for a living, whether she'd known her father worked for Voss Group before his tragic accident. The moment Minu left, Leon pulled Amara into his study and locked the door. Whatever you do, he said intensely, stay away from my brother. Don't meet him alone, don't trust anything he says, don't. You think he's involved? Leon's silence was answer enough. He's your brother, Amara said slowly. Why would he? Because I was supposed to die in that explosion, not your father. Because Minu's next in line to control Voss Group if something happens to me. Because he's a sociopath who's been playing the role of dutiful younger brother while building his own empire in the shadows. Leon's hands cupped her face, and the tenderness in the gesture stole her breath. Promise me you'll be careful. Promise me you won't let him near you. I promise, she whispered. Leon's thumb traced her lower lip and the air between them shifted. Charged, dangerous. For 3 weeks they'd maintained careful distance. For 3 weeks every kiss had been for cameras, every touch calculated. This was different. I'm going to kiss you now, Leon said quietly. Not for show, not for the media, just for me. If you don't want that, say so now. Amara should have said no. Should have remembered this was fake, temporary, a means to an end. Should have protected her heart from the inevitable pain of falling for a man she could never really have. Instead, she pulled him down and kissed him first. The kiss exploded between them, weeks of suppressed tension finally unleashed. Leon's hands tangled in her hair as he backed her against the desk, his body hard and demanding against hers. Amara responded with equal hunger, her fingers working at his shirt buttons, needing to feel skin, needing more. Clothes disappeared in a heated rush. Leon lifted her onto the desk, sending papers and pens scattering. His mouth moved down her neck, her collarbone lower, and Amara arched into him with a gasp. This was madness. This was stupid. This was perfect, Leon murmured against her skin. You're perfect. They came together in a clash of desperate need and something deeper, something that felt dangerously like emotion. Leon was careful despite the urgency, attentive in a way that suggested this mattered, that she mattered. And when Amara finally shattered in his arms, crying out his name, she saw the same vulnerable truth reflected in his eyes. This wasn't fake anymore. Maybe it never had been. After they lay tangled together on the leather couch, Amara's head on Leon's chest, his fingers tracing idle patterns on her bare shoulder. Neither spoke. Words would make it real, would force them to acknowledge what had just changed between them. Amara's eyes drifted to Leon's desk, to the scattered papers. One had fallen face up, and even from here she could see the photograph clipped to it. Her father's face stared back at her. She sat up slowly, pulling the paper closer. It was part of a personnel file, dated 7 years ago, but it wasn't the official Voss Group employee photo she'd seen before. This picture showed her father with someone else, a younger man with kind eyes and a genuine smile. The man looked familiar, very familiar. Leon, she said slowly, who is this man with my father? Leon tensed. She felt it, the way his entire body went rigid. He sat up, took the photo from her hands, and stared at it for a long moment. His name was James Seo, Leon said finally. He was my uncle, my father's brother, and he was the only person in my family I ever loved. He died in the same explosion that killed your father. They were friends. Your father told James about the evidence, and James was helping him get it to the authorities. Leon's voice had gone flat, emotionless in the way she now recognized meant he was feeling too much. I've always wondered why James was there that day. Now I know. Amara's mind spun. Your uncle and my father died together. Trying to expose crimes my company was committing, trying to do the right thing. Leon stood abruptly, pulling on his discarded clothes with jerky movements. I should have protected James, should have known he was in danger, should have. It's not your fault. Isn't it? It's my company, my name on the building, my responsibility. He turned to face her, and the anguish in his eyes made her chest ache. Your father died because of Voss Group. So did my uncle. How many others? How many people have suffered because I wasn't paying close enough attention? Amara stood, wrapping the throw blanket around herself, and went to him. We're going to find who did this. We're going to make them pay. Are we? Leon's laugh was bitter. I've been looking for 3 years, Amara. Whoever's behind this is too careful, too connected. They've covered their tracks perfectly. Then we'll uncover them. She took his face in her hands, forcing him to look at her. We do this together, for your uncle, for my father, for every person they've hurt. Leon kissed her again, softer this time, and she tasted desperation on his lips. Desperation and something that felt terrifyingly like love. Together, he agreed. But as Amara gathered her scattered clothes, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were running out of time. That somewhere in the shadows, someone was watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. She just didn't know that moment would come sooner than either of them imagined. The attack came 3 days later. Amara was leaving the art gallery where she worked, her real life, the one that existed outside Leon's world, when a black van pulled up beside her. 2 men grabbed her before she could scream, throwing a bag over her head and shoving her into the vehicle. She fought, landing a solid kick that made one grunt in pain, but they were stronger, trained. Within seconds, she was restrained and the van was moving. Terror locked her throat. This was it. Whoever killed her father had finally come for her. All of Leon's warnings, all his protection, and she'd let her guard down for one evening, insisted she needed normalcy, needed space. Now she'd pay for that mistake with her life. The van stopped after what felt like hours but was probably only 20 minutes. Rough hands dragged her out, guided her through what sounded like a warehouse, echoing footsteps, industrial smells. Then she was shoved into a chair and the hood ripped off. Leon Seo stood before her, his pretty face arranged in an expression of false concern. "Amara," he said warmly, "I'm so sorry it had to come to this, but you've made yourself a problem." Behind him she could see other people, men in tactical gear, scientific equipment, and against the far wall what looked like holding cells. In one of those cells she saw a figure slumped on a cot. A figure that made her heart stop. Because that man, older now and scarred but unmistakable, was her father. Marcus Jones was alive. Surprised, Minu followed her gaze and smiled. "I couldn't kill him. He knew too much and dead men can't tell you where they hid evidence. So I kept him comfortable, kept him alive, kept him as insurance, just in case." Amara couldn't speak, couldn't process. Her father, alive. Her father who she'd mourned for 3 years, who she'd thought was ash in memory. Alive and imprisoned and staring at her now with horror and love and desperate apology. "You're insane," she finally managed. "I'm practical." Minu circled her like a shark. "Your father stumbled onto something beautiful. Do you know what human enhancement could do if we perfect it? Create people who are stronger, smarter, immune to disease. We'd be gods, but my brother, my self-righteous, sanctimonious brother, he'd never approve. He'd shut it all down, destroy years of research, waste billions. He'd stop you from murdering people in illegal experiments." "Semantics," Minu waved dismissively. "The explosion was meant for Leon. It was supposed to look like industrial sabotage, and I'd take over Voss Group with no one the wiser. But he changed his schedule at the last minute, and instead, I got James and nearly got your father. Lucky for me, Marcus survived long enough to be useful." "Leon will find me," Amara said with more confidence than she felt. "He'll come for me." "I'm counting on it." Minu's smile widened. "He cares about you, really cares, maybe for the first time in his life. That makes you the perfect bait. He'll come, he'll try to rescue you, and this time I won't miss." He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Brother, yes, I have her. The warehouse on Pier 17, you remember it, don't you? Where Uncle James died. Poetic, I thought. Come alone or she dies. You have 1 hour." Minu hung up and turned back to Amara. "Now we wait." Leon arrived in 45 minutes. Amara heard the commotion before she saw him. Gunfire, shouting, the heavy footsteps of his security team engaging Minu's men. Then Leon burst through the warehouse door like an avenging angel, gun drawn, his usually controlled expression transformed into something feral. His eyes found hers, and relief flickered across his face before hardening into cold fury as he turned to Minyu. Let her go. Or what? Minyu had his own gun now, pointed casually at Amara's head. You'll shoot me, your own brother, we both know you won't. You'd be surprised what I'm capable of. Leon's voice was deadly calm. You killed James. You tortured Marcus Jones. You've destroyed lives for your ego and your experiments. I should have seen it years ago. But you didn't, because you always thought the best of me, perfect Leon with his moral code and his guilt. Minyu's finger tightened on the trigger. Do you know what it's like living in your shadow, watching everyone admire you while treating me like an afterthought? This was supposed to be mine, all of it. Then take it. Leon lowered his gun. Take the company, take everything. Just let Amara and Marcus go. Leon, no. Amara struggled against her restraints. He couldn't sacrifice everything for her. He couldn't. I'm not losing anyone else, Leon said, and his eyes met hers with heartbreaking finality. Not you, not for anything. For a moment Minyu looked surprised, then his expression hardened. How noble and how stupid. He pulled the trigger. But the shot went wild because Amara threw herself sideways, chair and all, crashing to the concrete floor. Pain exploded through her shoulder, but she was alive. Leon was moving, his security team flooding in, and Minyu was running for the back exit. Leon caught him anyway. They fought like men who knew each other's every move, brutal and efficient. But Leon had rage on his side and grief, and the memory of everyone Minyu had destroyed. When Minyu finally went down, Leon's gun pressed to his head, Amara saw something terrible in his eyes. Don't, she gasped, don't become him. Leon's finger trembled on the trigger, then slowly he pulled back. You're right, he should stand trial, face justice. He looked at his security team. Get him out of my sight. As they dragged Minyu away, still screaming threats and accusations, Leon ran to Amara. His hands were gentle as he cut her restraints, cradling her injured shoulder. Hospital, he said roughly. We need to. My father, Amara pointed to the cell. He's alive. Leon, my father's alive. And he was. Marcus Jones stumbled out of the cell, 3 years older and bearing scars both visible and not, but alive. Father and daughter embraced, both crying too hard to speak. Over her father's shoulder, Amara saw Leon step back, giving them space, his expression carefully neutral. But she knew him now, knew what that neutrality meant. He thought he didn't belong in this moment, thought he'd caused too much pain to deserve her forgiveness. He was wrong. 2 weeks later, after hospitals and police statements and media frenzies, after Minyu's arrest and the exposure of the illegal experiments that brought down half of Voss Group's board, after her father began the long process of healing and Leon started rebuilding his company from the ground up with new ethics and new purpose. After all of that, Amara found Leon standing on his penthouse balcony, staring out at Seoryu's glittering skyline. You've been avoiding me, she said. You've been busy, reuniting with your father, dealing with the media, starting your new position at the foundation. The foundation he'd created in her father's name, dedicated to corporate accountability and worker safety. I didn't want to intrude. Liar, Amara moved to stand beside him. You've been punishing yourself again. Leon's jaw tightened. Your father lost 3 years of his life because of my company, because I didn't see what was happening under my nose. You were put in danger because of me. I was saved because of you. She took his hand. Leon, you didn't create this mess, you fixed it. You brought down your own brother to do the right thing. You gave up billions to expose the truth. You. I love you. The words came out hoarse, like they'd been dragged from somewhere deep and painful. I love you, and I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to be the man who deserves you. Amara's heart swelled. You don't have to deserve me, you just have to choose me, every day, honestly, the same way I choose you. Leon turned to her finally, and the vulnerability in his eyes stole her breath. Even after everything. especially after everything. She pulled him down into a kiss that tasted like new beginnings and second chances. I asked a stranger to kiss me to make my ex jealous. Instead, I found something real, something worth fighting for. Your ex must be very disappointed, Leon murmured against her lips. Who? Amara smiled. I honestly can't remember his name. They stood there as the sun set over Seorio, two people who'd found each other in the worst possible way and chosen to build something beautiful from the wreckage. Neither noticed the figure watching from the street below through binoculars. Neither saw the way that figure smiled coldly and made a phone call. He thinks it's over, the figure said. That's good, that's perfect. A pause. No, Minyu was sloppy, I won't make the same mistakes. The real game is just beginning. In the shadows of a maximum security prison, Minyu Seo laughed into his contraband phone. Father, I was wondering when you'd call. Did you really think you were the only one in the family willing to do what's necessary? The voice on the other end was cultured, amused, and belonged to a man the world thought had died 7 years ago. Leon has always been weak, sentimental, but now he's given us the perfect weapon against him. The girl. The girl, their father agreed. And when we take her from him, truly take her this time, he'll break. And then Voss Group will finally be ours again, all of it. What about James? What about him? He was always weak too. Dying was the best thing he ever did for this family. But in a small apartment across town, a man with kind eyes and new identity papers smiled at his reflection. James Seo had learned to play dead very well over the past 3 years, had learned to hide, to wait, to plan. His brother thought he was buried in an unmarked grave. His nephew thought he was a martyr. Marcus Jones knew the truth. James had pulled him from the explosion, faked both their deaths, and spent 3 years gathering evidence against his own family. Evidence that would finally end the Seo dynasty's reign of terror. But first, he needed to keep his nephew and Marcus's daughter safe. Because if there was one thing James had learned, it was that in the Seo family, death was never really the end. It was just the beginning of a longer game. And this game was far from over.